Showtime. That's what it says. It always goes, it's showtime.
Does it?
That's yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Hello, everyone in Facebook land. Great to be with you today on this beautiful Monday. I'm calling in from Libertyville, Illinois. Mags, how about you?
I'm in Cincinnati right now.
And Sue?
I'm in Marietta, Georgia.
All right.
Like that.
Don't you love technology when it's working? All of us coming together.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's wonderful. And we're in one of our favorite groups, 50 Plus and Fabulous. It's got hosted by the great admin, Kim. She put this group together, and it's got a fabulous following of ladies, 50 Plus and Fabulous. Kim does so many great things with this group, and we're so fortunate to be here every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is Purse Strings. As many of you know, we're here every Monday, and we provide free online tools and resources so women have one place to go to get all of their financial questions answered. Or they can come in and ask. If they don't find it with us, we can search our special group of financial professionals and get their questions asked. And we're coming here today to talk with Sue. And so many women will say, gosh, how do I even know if I need a financial advisor, and what will they do for me? So Maggie and Sue are going to have a great dialogue today and share that information. Our goal, ladies, is just to get you to the table. Have a great conversation. Know who to talk with. Know that there are financial professionals like Sue, who we call Purse Strings approved professionals, who are ready, willing, and able to serve a female market. Too often, Maggie and I, through our research, found women would say, who can I go to? Who can I trust? Or every time I ask a question, they don't even look at me, or they dismiss me. Well, enough of that. That's not happening anymore. Because at Purse Strings, we've provided and searched for top-tier professionals who want to serve women, serve a female market. Women are a vastly underserved market, and so we want to be the go-to place for women so they have access to the tools and resources they need. Women, we find, are sitting on some money that could be growing for them. Women are a very powerful underserved market. They're a $23 trillion underserved market. Women influence 95% of the decision making in the household when it comes to money decisions. So women, they don't even know how powerful they are. And I will also add that women are coming into the largest transference of wealth in history with the aging baby boomer, the baby boomers aging. And a lot's going to be happening. A few more stats. The average age of a widow is 59. So we may have some widows in this group. And what do you do, right? If you're aging alone, if you're on your own, if you are a single woman now, or you became single through divorce or death of a spouse, or you were never married, how do you age alone? How do you prepare yourself? How do you know when you need financial advice? So we're Purse Strings. You can find us at pursestrings.co. Not only do we have resources, but we have a whole, what we call our Rolodex of approved professionals. And Maggie and Sue are going to talk today about a financial advisor. What is it? How do I know when I need it? Who do I go to? Take it away, ladies.
Yeah, give me one more second. I'm trying to make sure this is going right. I don't know why it's being a little crabby at me.
Oh, no, not a technology faux pas so early in the week. Those usually are supposed to happen later in the week.
Well, I couldn't make that happen. I think we're going here. If anyone wants to shout out and let us know, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I know we're on our main group here, so that'd be great. We can get started either way.
Maggie's all things technology. She's always, I think she's landing a plane with some of the clicks I hear going on and all the screens she's looking at. I'm like, what else is going on over there? But she makes sure we're populated not only in the 50 Plus and Fabulous group, but also in our Purse Strings page. And so we're really out there in the network, so all women know that we're here.
But we'll just get started today. It'll be fun. So we're with Sue McQueen. Sue is with Primerica since 2015 to pursue her passion for helping others. She finds great fulfillment in helping clients create workable solutions to their personal financial challenges. She works with families, individuals, and business owners, educating them about their financial opportunities for building and protecting wealth, which is, we might learn today that that's the job of a financial professional, is really working on helping you gain and grow that wealth. So since I just closed my notes, let me pull those back up and we'll get rocking and rolling. It's clearly a Monday.
Gotta love Mondays.
They're great.
We will persevere.
Yes.
All right, Barb, I'm going to remove you and we'll get chit-chatting, Sue.
Okay.
And if anyone's on and have any questions, please throw those in the chat throughout and we will also answer those. So please jump into the conversation. But to start, Sue, when women are looking for financial professionals, we hear a lot of terms like financial advisor, financial planner. Even Barb, when we jumped on this, she asked, what do you call yourself? And you said you call yourself a financial advisor. What are these like? Are these generic terms or are they different services? Is there a different license? Can you go into that?
Sure. Yeah, I know it's very confusing. So let me try and break it down for you a little bit here. So a financial advisor handles investments and gives advice regarding those investments. So in order to do the investments, a securities license is required. And technically, to be called a financial advisor, you need a Series 65 license, which is an investment advisor representative. But I see a lot of professionals that don't have that license that still call themselves financial advisors. So it's really kind of become a broadly used term. Then if we look at a financial planner, that is someone that does more analysis and creating strategies and plans and so forth for things like retirement and maybe tax strategies, college, things like that. But now if a financial planner also does investments, then they would need to have that securities license as well.
Okay. That makes sense. And so financial advisors actually do the investing, but a financial planner creates the plan and helps us execute the plan. So what are the costs for these kinds of services?
Okay, well, when it comes to a financial planner, some charge separately for doing that service if they also do investments. And some charge an hourly fee, some might charge a flat fee. And then when it comes to investments, some do that on a commission basis and others have a fee. So it just depends on the individual.
Okay, so that's a great question. You should always ask who you're working with is kind of how they get paid, because it's not the same across the board.
Right. It's not a uniform thing. So that's always, what you want to find out right at the beginning is what their charges are.
That's good to know. Mm-hmm. And so like we said, you call yourself a financial advisor. Mm-hmm. Can you describe what services you offer and what licenses you have?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I have my Series 65 and I also have a 6 and a 63, which just means nothing to anybody, but those are different types of investments and so forth. So I can do a lot of different services and do provide a lot of different services just depending on the individual needs. So some clients may come to me and they just want to open up an IRA or a Roth IRA, or maybe they want to do a rollover or something like that. So I handle their investments and do that. Others might just be starting out and they don't know what they need. Mm-hmm. So in that case, then I do a financial needs analysis, which is an analysis and a comprehensive report of exactly where they stand financially right now, where they need to be to reach their goals, and then we come up with a strategy to get them there. I also work with clients on doing things like budgeting and paying down debt. I also have my insurance licenses, so I can do insurance for clients as well. So again, can offer a variety of things, so it just depends on what the client needs.
And I really like how you mentioned in there that you can help, with your budget or with those simple plans, not just I'm getting an echo all of a sudden, not just all these investments and insurances and things. You have these other ways where you don't need to feel so prepared before you go in.
Right, exactly. Because a lot of people don't know. They don't know, well, where do I start? What do I need? What do I need to do? And so forth. So I help them figure that out.
Exactly. So what are some triggers that people might think, I should hire a professional, or I need a financial professional?
Everyone should have a financial advisor, because you don't know what you don't know, right?
It's true.
But some of the big triggers would be if you just think of major life events. So you get married, you get divorced, death of a spouse, or you receive an inheritance, changing jobs, starting a business, you have children, you have grandchildren. So really kind of, if you just kind of think any major life event, that's probably a good time to sit down with a financial advisor and see what you should be doing.
Oh, that's good to know. And so it's definitely, it's almost like a doctor. It's much easier to have that relationship and kind of know them when you're healthy. And then you can go in there when you have your problem, or it could be a good problem, especially with money, but to already have your financial professional, and then to have, be able to reach out if you do get an inheritance or someone does pass. So it's not always just starting that relationship. Not saying you can't do that, but.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to have someone that has been with you through everything, and you're familiar with them and they're familiar with you and so forth.
Exactly. And so I know you mentioned these life events are great times to meet up with your professional. And so how often should you meet with your professional if nothing crazy is really happening?
Okay. Yeah. And that again kind of depends on the individual needs. So, I meet with all of my investment clients at least once a year, just to check in with them, review their accounts, see if anything has changed with them or their goals or whatever. But then if I'm working with somebody, and we're doing a financial needs analysis and we're putting together plans and strategies and implementing everything, then we're going to meet much more frequently. And then once everything's put into place, we're going to just check in and see how things are progressing. So that could be quarterly, it might be semi-annually, and then once everything is good and, unless questions or things change or something, then, we can go to annually.
It sounds like you really have somebody on your path through the whole time. Even if you're just at the beginning trying to get started, it's like, no, I could call you every month and make sure we're still on the right plan, which is really helpful. Because usually, sometimes people say, they don't look at me and we met once, It's not a one and done deal.
Right. Yeah. You should have an open communication and stay in contact with your financial professionals, because it's just good practice, because
Right.
you never know what's going to happen. Right. So it's always good to be prepared.
And so I know you said you sold some licenses, or you sell some insurance. What kind of insurance do you sell? Can you sell like car and house? And
yeah, I have life insurance, and then we have actually like a referral partner that we use for auto and home. Sometime in the near future, we're also going to be doing Medicare supplemental health insurance. Yeah, and then, along the lines of insurance, they also have annuities and things like that as well.
So you're like our one-stop shop. Just go to Sue.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's it. We're the Amazon of financial services.
I love it. I love it. So if you were to start investing, are there any minimum requirements to open that, or to work with professionals? I guess those are two different questions.
Yeah. So it's going to vary from firm to firm. Our minimums are actually a lot lower than a lot of the firms out there. And again, it depends on the type of account and the type of investment that you're doing. But with us, for some of them, it's just a minimum of $25 with a $25 a month automatic contribution.
Oh, that's a lot cheaper than some people's.
Yeah. And then with our fee-based accounts, it's a minimum of $25,000. So again, it just
Okay.
depends on the needs and so forth. But there are some firms out there where, it's 250,000 or more to open an account.
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of people who talk about the minimums that they have, and I think that's a big blocker. Is a lot of people, they're like, I don't have $50,000, $1 million to,
Right.
to throw at this right now. So, a financial professional isn't for me, which I think something that is one of the things, like why we wanted to have this conversation, and something Barb and I talk about so much is that no, like we all need this financial professional. You don't need to have to invest, $1 million up front, maybe with some people, but not for you. And so they can really help you get on the path you want to go to, get your goals.
Right. Yeah. Because the best thing to do is to get started,
Exactly.
And so for somebody that's just starting out and they don't have a lot of money, they still have that opportunity and are able to get something started. So,
Right. I love that. And so I've been moving for the past couple of years, state to state, and I'm learning all these different things about, where you can register your car and these different rules everywhere and everything else. So if someone were, to work with you and then to move, do you have to change a financial professional like state to state?
that depends on the type of investment and the type of license that your financial advisor has. So there's some that you're required to be licensed in the state that you do business. So if you have a professional that is in Ohio and you move to Wisconsin, then they would need to be licensed in Wisconsin or get licensed when you move there, or else you would have to find someone that's licensed in Wisconsin. So it just depends. And then there's others that you can do business in any state as long as you're licensed in where your home office is. So it just depends. It's complicated, I know.
That's why we're trying to clear it all out,
Right. So that's another good question to ask your advisor. If you do move or you're going to be moving, is to check with them and see, can they still be your advisor, or do they need to get a license, or do you need to find somebody new, or whatever.
And another thing I've learned in this process where, to ask someone to get a license sounds like a big deal on my end, but I've talked to many people who are more than willing to say, if I have clients going there, I would rather get a license and keep the client than lose the client and not have that license. It's I don't know how easy is it to get a license in every state?
Yeah, it's paperwork, that's all it is.
Okay.
And so I'm licensed, I think, in like maybe 7 states or so. If I have clients that move to another state, then I move, or I don't move, but I get my license there as well. In the same, if I have potential clients in another state, then I have to get licensed before I can, do business with them.
And I think that's just great for people to know that, if you were thinking of moving and you run this by them, they might be more than willing to get another license there, and you don't have to switch professionals, which would be really great. Sometimes it's just frustrating, keep moving back and forth.
Yeah.
But it seems weird that you just get another license, but yeah, it's not that hard. It's just some paperwork.
Right. Yeah. And especially if you have developed a relationship with your advisor and you don't want to change to someone else, then, it's great for you that they can just get, licensed in that state if they aren't already, and you don't have to lose your financial advisor.
Right. That's great. Somebody wrote in a question here that said, so many of my female friends are not sure of their financial status as their significant other has taken the lead in finances. What would be a very important piece of information you would want to know or investigate further? As
far as their finances, or I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, if whoever's writing in would like a little bit more detail on that, of what kind of piece of information, either if it's paperwork or just any life advice, finances. What financial information should a female know, I guess, if none of these finances have been
So if you're married and your spouse handles the finances, you still need to know everything, where all your accounts are, what you have, what they're for, all of that. Because if something happens to your spouse and you don't know any of this and you don't know where any of that is located, you are in a very difficult situation at that time. So it's always good to be prepared. And I always tell my clients to have a, like a safe deposit box or a folder or a file, or, I keep mine in like a metal fireproof box, and keep, copies of all accounts, all, everything that you own, like whether it's deeds to real estate or car titles, investment accounts, retirement accounts, life insurance policies, all that kind of stuff. So if something happens to the one that manages the finances, you've got a place to go where you can get your hands on everything. And then at least at that point, you've got a starting point. You know where to go, at least to look for everything that's there.
Right. That's important. And that's why we've kind of built Purse Strings, is because we've seen so many women become widows all of a sudden, or, get divorced, and they didn't know about some of this. And a thing that we like to stress is, like, you don't need to know every penny in there every day. It's the big picture. It's where is it? Who's running it? What's the average amount? Is it 20,000 or is it 200,000? Like, you kind of want to know what's going on. But I also agree about your file folder. I just bought one for myself. And it's just like I didn't get a big thing. I just got a little folder that's fire and waterproof. So then I put the important papers back in the underwear drawer once I knew they were fireproof.
Yeah. So and that's the important thing, is knowing where everything is, having it all together, and knowing where to go if something happens. And that works both ways. Both spouses need to know where everything is. So if something happens to the other, they know where to go, and at least they've got a starting point. They don't have to know everything that's in there, but know where to go to get it.
Another great thing sometimes to put in there are passwords as well. Just passwords to your phone or to different things, now that we have 1,000 social media accounts or emails and things like that.
Yes, exactly. It's like a lot of people store everything digitally now, which is fine, but they have to know where to go to find that online and stuff. So at least have a cheat sheet there, that lists everything.
They're going to need to steal your fingerprint.
Right.
Somebody else wrote, women may not feel comfortable even asking about money and are not certain what they need to know. Is there a worksheet available to check off, like a preparation for things that are happening? Or do you just want to share some of the things that you might put in your, I guess you listed some of those things you put in your folder. Anything else so they should know if they become solo?
And I do have a little thing that's just, I use it, that I pass out to clients sometimes. It just has folders on it with names on there. So it just kind of gives you a kind of a list. But yeah, so, important things would be wills, insurance, powers of attorneys, ownership papers to anything, whether it's real estate or cars or, anything of value, retirement accounts, investment accounts, bank accounts. Even, tax returns and all of that kind of stuff, should all be there. So of course, the list is going to vary from person to person, because not everybody has the same things, but you just want to kind of take an inventory of what you have, so that you know that you've got everything together and put in that spot.
I agree. It's always interesting, we have this conversation a lot about women not feeling comfortable about asking some of these questions, either asking their spouse where it is, which is we always say is an interesting sign in itself. Why don't they want to share this information with you? And should you be worried about that? And so there's a lot of different things that go into asking about these finances and getting your hands on them, which is sometimes an interesting conversation as well.
And it can be difficult, especially women that are older and have been married for a long time. The husband has always handled the finances, and back in the day, that was really the typical thing. The man was the head of the household and he handled the finances. And so that is very common. But, especially as they're getting older, women live longer. So the chances are very good that you're going to outlive your spouse. So you need to know this stuff. So I think that could be a good conversation starter, with the husband is, hey, we need to prepare in case something does happen, because we don't know when we're going to take our last breath.
Right.
And, that husband, I'm sure, would not want to leave the wife not knowing, where the money is and how much money does she have and is that money going to last and so forth. So that might be a good way to approach the conversation is, we really have to talk about what's going to happen in the future should you die. I mean, it's not a comfortable conversation to have, but you have to have it. Yeah,
I totally agree there. There's something else I was just going to add to that. It slipped my mind. But yeah, this is a ton of great information, just kind of clearing out, the advisor versus the professional and really what you can help with. And you don't need huge sums of money to go and talk to a professional by any means. I'm pretty sure almost all our professionals have a free 15, 20-minute session just to know that it's the right fit, that this is what you need, that they can be helpful to you, for you, which I think is, also really great, because then you could just vibe it out and see how it's going.
Yes. And I actually, any consultations, any strategy sessions, doing a financial needs analysis and stuff, all of that is complimentary. I don't charge anything for any of that. I just get paid if they do investments or, buy some type of insurance or something like that. So, there's no obligation, but it's a great way for them to at least take a look at where they are and ask those questions that they need to know, or find out what questions do they need to be asking,
Right. Mm-hmm. A user asked, Maggie, would it be appropriate for women to contact purse strings as a way to get started understanding what they need to look at regarding finances? We have some sheets that we can definitely help with. But if you're looking for something of any of the things like Sue listed that she can do, most of the financial advisors can do that. If you're looking for investments, insurance, some different financial plans. A lot of people we also recommend you might just want to start with a money coach, and that can just help you, if you're struggling more with overdrafts and just getting your balance sheet in order and doing a budget. Sometimes a money coach can help with that. It's a little bit more one-on-one assistance. But if you have any specific questions regarding finances, we're always here. Let me see what Dr. Barb has to bring to us today.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because, well, first of all, we're here for all women who struggle about talking about money, having the conversations, even asking their spouse about where all the money's at, because we understand and we know that money is a difficult conversation for women. And that's why we created Purse Strings. I mean, if you grew up in a household where you didn't talk about money because it was impolite, or you didn't talk about money because it raised voices and people got angry, then you just learned never to talk about money. But at Purse Strings, we're here to talk about money and we're here to talk about your money, and so that you can be financially fearless. So like Maggie said, we have a free course for women if they just want to get started on their own, called Financially Fearless Foundations for Women. And you can just grab that right out of our Facebook page, or it's also on our site. But yes, as Maggie said, we don't sell any financial products or services. We're just here to give you the resources and go find the right resources for women. So Sue McQueen is the person to go to for all things questions around finances, investing, what do you need, looking at financial planning. I love Primerica because they're for the everyday person. Like you said, it's very reasonable to get started. If you're not quite sure, if you have, some people start at 10,000, some people start at 25,000. And we have professionals who only deal with people who have 2 million plus or 5 million plus. So it's all over the board. And not everybody's in those places. So Primerica really has a nice sweet spot for the everyday person, I think. And Sue can answer a lot of your questions. But the biggest thing I want to say is get started.
Mm-hmm.
Just get started, whatever that looks like for you. It can be just, reaching out to Sue and saying, I saw you on the live and I have some questions on how to get started, and just having a conversation with Sue. It can be just mulling over the Purse Strings website and seeing all the resources that are there already at your fingertips. It can be just looking around your house and saying, I'm just going to gather all the documents that I can find and put them in a file folder. Whether it be my insurance documents or my paycheck or, whatever it might be, anything that has to do with money, whether it be a bill that you pay or whether it be, the deed to your house, whatever it might be. And then ask an expert. That's what they're here for. Financial professionals are not for the rich and famous. They're for everyday people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Back all that up.
Yeah. So, that's why we created
just to wait one more minute to see if let's see if there's any other questions that come in. But otherwise, I feel like there's been a wealth of knowledge already shared today. Just opening up those conversations, that you financial professionals aren't scary.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And sometimes people don't think, oh, I don't need a professional. And I always say, you know what? You don't drill your own teeth. Many of us don't cut our own hair, right? Most of us don't even paint our own nails. So when it comes to your financial future, enroll an expert. Look through our Purse Strings approved professionals. Just reach out to a few of them. Have a conversation. It doesn't cost you anything, and it gets your mind thinking. They're there to serve you. They're there to help you. They're there to make sure you have a great financial future. That's what Purse Strings is all about. I see a Facebook user says, we love Purse Strings.
That's Kim. She loves us.
Yeah.
We love Kim.
Great. Yeah.
But yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Sue, for all this wonderful information, for empowering so many women, and being a great Purse Strings approved financial advisor.
Yes, absolutely. My pleasure. I loved it.
Thank you, Sue.
Great.
Thanks for being with us today and sharing your wisdom. Now that we know, we've cleared the air and we know, go to Sue if you want to get started.
So again, this is Sue McQueen. You can always reach her at smcqueen@primerica.com. She's with Primerica. She's also a Purse Strings approved provider. So you could check her out on our website, pursestrings.co, where she's under our financial advisors. Wild. So thank you so much, Sue. I hope everyone else has a great rest of their Monday, and we will be back here again next week, same time, same place. Talk to everyone soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Bye
you.
now.